episode of the Off-Road Podcast is sponsored by Warren, Power Tank, and Medical Gear Outfitters.
Off-Road Podcast, episode 290, Off-Road Navigation Challenge.
Tonight, Aaron rescues the rescuers, Ben goes dumpster diving again, and Coy got snowed on just enough to break his spirit.
Welcome to the Off-Road Podcast, the podcast about everything off-road. We cover the news, review products, and interview people in the off-road industry. I'm your host, Ben. I'm here with my co-host, Aaron, and Coy again from Boots, Booths, and Barbecue.
The Weekend Review is brought to you by Medical Gear Outfitters. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting to have a casualty on the trail? Check out medicalgearoutfitters.com to get straightened out. Medical Gear Outfitters has everything you need, whether you're going out for the day or traveling on a year-long expedition. Head over there to get off-road specific kits that meet all of your needs. And while you're there, make sure you use Off-Road Podcast for 10% off.
Speaking of Medical Gear Outfitters, I got something for my iPack from them this past week. Showed up over the weekend. They finally got them back in stock. The Celox A. This is like a tampon. No, not tampon. It's an insertion tool. So it's got like gauze sponges in it that have Celox the blood coagulation stuff in it. So you punch that into your wound and you fill it up. And I'm pretty excited about this. I've been wanting to get one of these a long time, and they've been out of stock for a long time. So super excited.
I'm jealous. I should have bought one. Or I should. I have to do that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they still have them in stock.
Well, Aaron, since you've already started, what's up, man?
Well, I just got to guest host on a brand new podcast, episode number 1, called Horsepower Hour, and it is with our good friend Coy and Andy, who do the Boost, Booze, and Barbecue show. They're transitioning over to a new show that they're doing, which is going to focus mainly on automotive stuff. There's you might ask, where's the beef? They're not going to be talking about barbecue stuff as much anymore.
What about booze?
No. Yeah, I don't know, Coy.
It'll still happen some. Like, I mean, we drink, so.
What are you going to do with your Sunday nights now? Jeez.
It's still on Sunday night.
Yeah. Besides that, I just booked our first camping trip with the trailer that we bought. I'm sure nobody here cares about camping in RV parks, but it's going to be good for our kids because we can bring bicycles that they can ride on pavement rather than trying to ride on Forest Service roads that are gravel.
What KOH are you going to?
It's not a KOH. It is a private camp in Cannon Beach. So they've got lots of amenities there, but they're all closed down, of course, because of COVID. But I'm hoping that we'll find that it'll be a fun place and we can keep going there in the future once our new president gets us through all of this COVID mess. Besides that, tomorrow I'm going to be dropping off the plans for my new shop that I'm building. I drop them off and then they call me and review it over the telephone. Once again, because of COVID, they can't talk to me in person or take my money in person. They've got to do everything over the phone. So we'll see how many times they get rejected because I don't really know what I'm doing, filling out government forms and drawing pictures. So we'll see how that goes. And then the last thing is, as mentioned by Coy in the Tonight section, that I rescued the rescuers. We got some snow up here, down here, depending on which latitude you're at, and leaving work. Here's a Dodge Ram that I pulled out of a ditch with my Nissan, and that was just leaving work, just right around the corner from where I work. And then not very far from there is this meth lab car that was in another ditch. And
Should you winch that farther into the ditch then, just to get it off the?
No, I winched him out. The first one I used the Bubba rope for that big truck. This guy I winched out of the ditch, and then while I was talking to the neighbor that lived at this corner, another car, I can't remember what kind of car he had, but same size of little commuter car, went into the same exact ditch, but just on the opposite side of that mailbox. So I winched him out too. So I got to pull 3 people out in an hour. I was flying high doing that kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun, pulling people out of the ditch, and they're super grateful also. And in fact, the the guy in the red truck actually commented on our last live stream YouTube. So telling me that he appreciates getting pulled out and that he's going to have to buy some off-road kit now. Oh, so he's a firefighter. That's where the rescuers come up.
Doing a service.
What have you been up? Yeah, what have you been up to, Coy?
Not too much. It snowed in my area too, but not as much as you had. It was just enough while I work, road construction, utility work. So it was just enough to ruin my day and like make me check my weather app 18 times an hour to see how much it was going to snow. Said I just got freezing cold, drenched. It wasn't quite enough to cover the ground and shut the job down. So, and then I went home hoping for snow so I didn't have to go to work the next day and I could have a snow day and go play in the snow. But it all melted by the time I got home. So just enough to crush me. Like it just dangles it right there. And I'm like, yes. I went ahead and plumbed in airlines in my shop, or in process of it. I've finally got serious about making my shop nice. So did that. And I drove to Seattle and I bought a new car. And I don't like Seattle, it turns out.
Yeah. Neither do I.
Yeah. It was, my wife took her kid to, our kids to use the bathroom while I was down on the test drive. And apparently white people weren't allowed to use a bathroom in that store. So it was really weird. And my experience in Seattle now is just, I'm confused and it's odd and weird. So,
wow.
Yeah.
You just have to like go on the street.
It got a little scary for her. Like they got kind of aggressive. So, so she came back. She told the kids to hold it. And I said, let's just drive down the freeway to the next military base, because that's like a half hour, the Leavenworth or whatever. And I was like, you know what? We'll be safe. It's next to the base.
Yeah. Well, apparently our live feed is taking precedence over Tyler's EFI shootout live feed that he's trying to watch. Sounds like.
Sorry, not
you know.
This is real more fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, so what would you pick up in Seattle?
I bought a 2001
Toyota.
MR2 Spider Toyota. Yeah, little tiny sports car.
What day was it?
That was Saturday.
Oh, so you couldn't just be like, hey, I'm coming through town. Hi.
I almost called you because the dude had an extra bumper for the car, and I was like, man, I can't take this with me, but I really want it. I was like, who do I know? Oh, Ben's here. I was like, I want to go home. It was I brought my kids with me 3.5 hours, and I had 3.5 hours to drive back.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all.
It's only 3.5 hours
from my house. It was right by the Tacoma Dome, so I mean, just past it.
Oh my goodness, right by my house. That's not even Seattle. That's Tacoma. There's a huge difference.
Well, maybe I'll have you run over to the guy's house and get my bumper later.
I mean, that's right by my work, so yeah.
Yeah, he can pick it up. That isn't far from him.
Maybe that's why they wouldn't let you use the bathroom. They saw what you were driving.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I actually drove a RAV4 hybrid to get there, so it's possible.
So white.
Sorry, couldn't help it.
That's all right.
I off-road and I like to race stuff, so I just like everything with a motor, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a problem.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Well, have you done anything off-road related in the past week, Virgil?
Pretty much every day. Yeah, so I own an off-road shop in Roseburg. I think we've re-geared, in the last week we've re-geared 3 Jeeps. And I've been working pretty steadily on the weekends getting ready for the navigational challenge that's coming up on our property. So that requires the use of my side-by-side now. I slipped out of the Jeep world and went into a side-by-side so I could get around a little faster up there. So I've logged a lot of miles working on trails and getting it ready for those guys.
Fun. Well, we'll hear about that property a little later in the main topic.
Sure.
Ben, what have you been up to?
Well, like Coy mentioned, I went dumpster diving, and I scored me a pair of traction pads. Someone said that they were cracked all the way through and unusable, and it was just the tip of it that was cracked. And I'm like, well,
Just the tip.
good enough to still use, so why not just toss them in? So
Yeah.
I threw the back of the Forerunner, or no, actually, it was the
So are those just like a bogger, only different?
these are-
Yes, a lot different. They're a lot different.
Sorry.
Outside of that, I got my Garmin InReach Mini. Finally, I have yet to activate it. I'm arguing with the wife on what plan we're gonna get. Because
I agree with Kravik. I think you just go with the cheapest plan and just send it.
the annual plan,
Mm-hmm.
she wants to go with the Freedom plan because she's like, you're not gonna go out all the time. I'm like, I'll
Don't
probably
do
go
it.
out at least
Don't do
once
it.
a month.
You went out once a month.
All last
Every
year.
month last month. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
every month last
And
year.
just explain to her that if you have to turn it on and off, you'll forget, then you'll have it and it won't work. What are you going to get an emergency beacon for that might not work? Just get the
Yep.
basic lowest plan. And if you
Well,
need it, you pay the extra.
Oh, and I told her, hey, if I'm not home, you can always look at online at where I'm at, because
That's
it'll
true.
probably be in the Forerunner, which means it will probably be at home. driving the Camry to work half the time now. Outside of that, I managed to finally get the rooftop tent into the garage
Saw
and
that.
start inspecting some of the damage. That is from the inside. That whiteness is the light.
Is that how you filled that plastic bag up with water while you were camping?
That is how I filled up that plastic bag. So the tape wasn't close enough together, or there wasn't sealant in between it, and so it just got in the cracks and loosened it all up. And yeah, so I've started repairing it. There's kind of after all the adhesive was pulled off, and I'd started sanding, and I found all. Oh, there we go. You can see where it literally wasn't sticking in the crack itself, and so just allowing water to channel through there, any little spot to get through.
Have I told you about how I've seen that fixed before? I saw a guy on TV and he used Flex Seal to make a boat. And I'm guessing if you order the next 20 minutes, you'll get the Flex Seal tape as well.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no.
Just
don't
based
bite
on
off
processing and
Don't bite
handling.
off Wish. Don't bite off Wish.com though. You want to go ahead and as seen on TV it.
I'll just get it from Walmart at that point. But if you notice how far I've gone away from the hole, there's lots of micro cracks going out from there. So I'm sanding all the way there, and I'm gonna fill it with epoxy to help strengthen that area and resand it. And then I'll probably throw some wrap on it for now. And then once I get a chance, when the weather's nicer, I'm gonna Raptor line it, I think.
So Coy, I just checked our calendar. 3 out of 4 people in this video call are going on a snow run in 17 days. What are the chances it's going to be done and ready? Should we should we start a pool right now?
The thing is, you have to have people betting against each other, not for the same outcome. Otherwise, you know what I mean? It's like,
Well, I mean, I guess we could have anybody who wants to bet that it would be done on time, and then other people bet how many days and months and years it'll be till it's actually fixed.
Well, if
I
you have
wanna know what-
17 days, if you have 17 days, and technically you have 24 hours to get it fixed because you start the day before you leave, right?
Yeah.
That's how we do it.
standard.
That is pretty standard, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna want odds if I bet for Ben to have this done, like maybe a 5-1. So I put $5 in, but then I get 25 if I win.
Yeah,
Something like
we need. Yeah.
They make blue tarps every day, and the brown ones are kind of cool. They're a little classier.
No, I've already got the resin and the fiberglass sheets. I went and got all that today. Like I just got pulled into the garage Sunday, and I've already made it that far.
You are making a lot of good progress.
It
When
should-
you do the resin, have the door open in the garage.
Oh yeah, no, it's right by the when
All
I've
right,
been standing, the
police.
garage door's been on with the fan. 'Cause that
And
stuff's-
don't have the door to your house open. Just the garage door. You don't
Oh,
want
yeah,
that
no,
wafted in your house.
No.
It is very potent. We did that with our chump car. We built some custom cotton fiber aerodynamic parts, and yeah, high as a kite and a awful headache.
And Tyler's got the real question here: is will it be fixed correctly or fixed temporarily for the trip? And it will be fixed correctly. That's my goal.
That
I think
involves
the
duct
answer
tape.
And if for some reason it's not fixed, I'll just take the ground tent.
I hope
Rick
that you
says he's
fix it,
guessing
but
it's going to
then
be
it-
done.
That's the thing. I hope that it's done, but then it leaks really bad on the snow camping. I mean, I don't hope it, but it would be a lot of entertainment for me in particular. If
We're-
it,
We're good friends. We're such good friends.
It's terrible, friend. So I've
Yeah.
been considering throwing Dynamat on the top to help with keeping out the heat. Thoughts on that? Not necessarily the Dynamat, but like the off-brand, because
I don't
before,
know.
the foam
I don't
isn't-
know I don't know how heavy that's going to be, and is that going to mess with the struts for having it stay open?
It doesn't use struts; it uses a scissor lift thing.
Oh, okay. Well, then do it.
first of all,
I don't.
you didn't have to preface that you were going to use the off-brand. We knew that, Ben.
Oh, man,
It's extra insulation. I don't see why it would hurt.
yeah.
I don't know if it's really going to help against the kind of heat that you get from the weather.
No,
That's going to help with
I-
really high heats like engine heats, but I don't know.
I
don't know
was
if it'll be
thinking
enough
it
for
would be nice just as kind of a sound barrier on like heavy rain.
It can't hurt though.
Yeah.
I'd just do it. Yep.
'Cause
And
it's
then
like
line it with a Mexican
like
blanket or some thick fabric.
That's what I was thinking. I've got 5 of them now.
Yeah. Your whoopee. You could maybe find a whoopee pattern at Joann's.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
So,
Yeah.
so this thing you're working on, this is a cover for a tent. Is that what I'm hearing?
So it's a hard shelled rooftop tent,
Okay.
and I got it for a steal of a price.
I don't know
$500.
why.
Yeah, don't know why. We don't
It was
know
a-
why. Right there.
You got it
Okay.
right next to those traction boards.
Yeah, and so I mean the thing's huge. It's a little oversized for my rig, but whatever.
It's all
I'm gonna throw
good.
it on a
It's
trailer
all good.
eventually.
Nice. Yeah, we don't. Down here, way down south, we just sleep on our cots out in the snow. Put a little tarp down underneath them, so when you have to get up in the middle of the night, you don't get your feet wet. But I don't think I've ever slept in a tent in the woods.
Wow.
I have to try that
That's
sometime.
hardcore. That's hardcore.
Sometimes you got to shoo the snakes away a little bit before you get out of bed in the middle of the night. But it's all good.
The snow snakes.
The problem with the rooftop tent is if you indulge in an adult beverage or two before you go to bed, and you have to get out of the tent in the middle of the night. I've never really thought I was that good of a navigator to actually make it to the ground on my feet first. So I'd rather sleep lower to the ground. It's less farther to fall.
Well, and as clumsy as I am, I'm sure it'll be great when it happens.
I've actually seen guys with a surgical tubing set up going ground up
Oh
inside,
no way! No
just
way!
for those kind of situations.
Oh,
That's awesome.
that's great.
Yeah. Well, Jeremy, what have you been up to?
Hey guys, I cannot wait to be back on the show every single week. Swing Shift still is going to go on for another about a month and a half, so I am looking forward to coming back onto the show full time. But I just wanted to stop in and give you guys a quick update on the Jeep. So I've mounted all the tires. I am decided to not wait for the monster valves to come in. Still waiting to get those shipped out. So I'm just going to go ahead and mount the tires up. When I move to 40s, that's when I'll install them, or I did get the threaded ones, so maybe I'll install it while the tires are on the rims. We'll see. I haven't decided yet. I also installed the Synergy track bar brace. Once again, I'm waiting for more parts. Waiting for the sector shaft brace to come in. That was the main reason that I wanted it. But as I installed it, I was really happy with how beefy that track bar brace was. I didn't realize how thin the track bar brace that's stock on the Jeep was. So I'm really happy to have that. Can't wait for the sector shaft brace to come in. I also went ahead and installed all my control arms and track bars. I am just waiting for the axles. They are officially late. So I will probably try to reach back out to the company and see if they can give me a new updated shipping date, because I am just itching to get those things in and get them installed for our snow run. Other than that, I think I might have a bad battery. So I replaced the battery probably about 8 months ago, and it just would not start the Jeep. And when I took it into the store, they said, yeah, it's down to about 11 volts and 13% charged. And they couldn't tell me if it was a bad battery yet. They were had to put it on their chargers to see. But that thing was topped off just a couple weeks ago, and it's been disconnected from the Jeep. So I think I have a bad battery. We'll see what they say when I go pick it up later. Hopefully I can just get a new one and it'll start right up. Otherwise, I'm going to have to figure out why the Jeep isn't starting. All right, guys, I will check you guys next time.
You know, the funny thing is his monster valves arrived today.
Yeah, the day after he put his tires on.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
for someone else to have some pain.
that's what happens. Yeah.
Hey guys, we're looking to reach more listeners. We're going to start reading Apple iTunes reviews on air. If you hear yours, send us a message with your address, and we'll send you an Off-Road Podcast sticker. You can find all of our social media by just searching our name. Now, go hit that subscribe button.
Also, we want to thank Patriot Patch for their support every month for hosting our bandwidth. We really appreciate those guys. You can go to patriotpatch.co and check out their awesome selection of patches and shirts. You can join the Patch of the Month Club. Ben, did you get the email?
I did get the email, and I'm pulling up the picture right now for.
Yeah.
Go ahead and talk some more.
It's a triple stamper patch. So it's a short barreled rifle. It's probably full auto, and it's got a suppressor on it. So it's a $600 tax stamp. There it is.
So it's a short barreled rifle with a suppressor, and then it's got a destructive device.
Oh, so it may or may not be full auto, is what you're saying.
No, it wouldn't be full
You
auto.
can't, you can't see the other side. Well, wouldn't that be 4 stamps then if it's got a destructive device and full auto?
Yes.
So we'll have to ask him.
You guys know it's a cartoon, right?
No, this is serious stuff. This is very
Just
serious.
throw that
stuff.
out there that it's a hand-drawn picture.
No, you're way off base here. It's super serious. We got to know.
Sorry.
Had we seen the other side, we would have seen if the lever goes all the way to the back. But we don't get to do that.
My level of gunness isn't as high as yours.
Yeah, well, Chad in the comments here says he loves it. So, Chad, I hope you can get some triple or quadruple stampers at some point in your life. I hope we all can. Preferably without having to pay for a stamp. How about that? Yeah. Yeah.
The news is brought to you by PowerTank, the ultimate mobile onboard air system for performance, versatility, and reliability. They are your source for all air-related accessories. Check them out at powertank.com.
Uh-oh, we've got news. The Rivian R1T has been spotted in the wild of LA and in the actual wild. Do you guys read this? Have you seen the picture?
I didn't get a chance to look at this at all. I think I saw it in social media, but that was it. And I made a comment to somebody that the new Bronco Sport looks awesome.
Yeah. Well, oh, ouch.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's rough.
Well, they look really similar. The
Yeah.
side profile of the Rivian SUV, it looks a lot like the Bronco Sport with a lift kit and some tires.
So the CEO posted a video of them in the snow doing a little snow wheeling. There was 2 of them.
Yeah, we should have figured out a way to cue that up, and we could have shown that. That would be neat.
You know what?
2 of them in the snow.
Let's
Did it
see.
show him doing the tank steer?
That's what I want to know. Yeah.
That's the only thing I want to know about the Rivian is if I can do 360 turns with it.
So we're out testing. It's a Sunday morning, about an hour outside of LA. I'm in the camouflage one here, and Charles is up there. Kids are having fun. We got mud, we got snow, we got rocks. Pete, what do you say?
And mine.
In mud? All right.
They're humping along pretty fast there.
Yeah.
It's my kind of speed.
So we're out testing.
So yeah, that's that. I wouldn't call that like real deep snow wheeling, but I mean that's slush on a muddy road.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah,
is
and
there snow there?
not much, but in theory, it could have been compacted down and it could have been really slick. So clearly it has good traction, or it possibly has good traction.
Maybe that's the road they were driving on to get to the snow wheeling spot where the real snow was. That's what it looked like to me.
That's what I'm gonna go with.
Yeah.
What do you think of Rivians, Virgil?
Not. I'm old school.
I know the answer, but I wanted to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the Jeep.
Yeah, they have some. I think they have some cool technology. I've seen. I don't know if you've seen the tank steer video of their truck. Just all the tires, going opposite directions. It spins a 360 in place.
No,
That would be pretty fun to do. I got to give them that. I can't wait to have to hook a solar panel to one of these for 4 days when it runs out of.
Yeah, sadly, that's probably in all of our future.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get a generator that you can plug EVs into to take up in the woods from all the Sartine.
Yeah, if you can afford the gas to fill the generator, I suppose.
I think it was the Hummer, the electric Hummer, the EV Hummer that's coming out, has a solar panel built into the roof that actually gives you a charge every day if you've got full sun. Do you guys remember how much it gave you? How many miles that you get to drive off of a day's worth of sun?
You're talking. It wasn't the Hummer. It was the Tesla truck
Did we lose
with the
Aaron?
tonneau
Oh, is
cover.
it the? Oh, it
You
wasn't. That's right. It was.
You got 25 miles a day if you parked in direct sunlight.
I thought it was 7.
Oh, originally I read it was 25 because I told my wife, like, hey, you could drive to work for free every day. This might not be as bad as I thought.
It wouldn't work for me. I'd be about 15 miles short, and that's if we had sun. But we're in Southern Oregon, so I could probably get about a mile.
I'm kind of.
Oh, you guys get a lot more sun down there than we do.
Depending on the time of year, I suppose. Well, we get a lot of fog.
And then you've got me up here, and it's even worse.
Yeah, you get liquid sunshine.
Oh, it's the good stuff.
It's a beautiful thing.
That's why I want a hydrogen-powered car, because I just like, all right, got some fuel, right? There we go. Pour it into the tank.
I mean, they make nuclear-powered submarines that can go forever and ever. I mean, why not?
I want you to have a hydrogen-powered car too, because I love the way hydrogen cars explode when they get into a wreck. It makes great videos.
And we know I'd be the guy to make it happen. Well, next story here is KOH is underway despite COVID restrictions. And then Bryce McKenzie won the T1 race yesterday, and with back-to-back wins. And then there's supposedly going to be some Broncos in the 4,400 races. So we'll see what happens, right?
Our buddy Dan Cole is out there covering King of Hammers right now, and he's been posting multiple times a day of stuff, and he's shared some pretty cool pictures. I love the Baja bug photos that he just shared. Apparently they did a 25 lap 50-mile race with those guys on a short course.
Ugh. That must have been carnage.
Yeah. I agree, Tyler, when there's no parts from the vehicle and still calling it something like the Bronco. I'm not sure if that's yeah, that's like a stock car, right? A Toyota Camry is lapping in NASCAR. Not
Yeah.
quite.
Nice.
Yeah. One of these days I'll make it down to King of Hammers and check it out. Just life, you know. You got to get older so your kids are out of the house.
It's like the time of year it happens. Like it
Well, when you're on your way down, if you want to stop by and do some tough wheeling, stop in Roseburg for a little while.
I planned to, but Coy didn't invite me till he already had a partner.
I had a full team, and I told you to be ready for backup in case somebody dropped out.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully next year I won't make a camping trip plans on the same weekend as that. So
Always the first weekend in March.
okay. Put that down.
Put it in the calendar. Those that don't know, I'm in some trouble with these phone calendar things in my wife. I'm supposed to put all the events in there, and I think about it, and then I thought I did put it in there. Turns out just because I thought about putting it in the calendar doesn't mean I put it in. So,
and then
There's
I'm in
been a
my
couple of
committing
jokes.
too, just for fun.
It's good hazing.
Go prepared with Warren Industries. They produced the first recreational winch in 1959 and lead the industry with their dedication to quality and reliability. When you dig yourself in deep, make sure you have the right tools to get yourself out. Get Warren equipped and go where others can't. Now, let's get ready for adventure and head into our main topic.
Well, jumping into the main topic here, we've got Virgil on, and we're talking about the off-road navigation challenge there that he has at Champagne Creek that Coy's actually competing in this year. But
Did we at the very, very beginning of the podcast, I was typing or something. I don't remember. Did we even introduce Virgil at the very beginning?
No, I'm just that guy in the left-hand corner.
Fudge.
Remember, Aaron, you said you guys put a little name there under the
Yeah,
screens.
yeah.
Needed
He's got a name.
introduction. Yeah.
At least they can see that. So I'm terribly sorry about that, Virgil. So we've
Okay.
got Virgil with us. He runs an automotive shop that he talked about called Twin Peaks.
Yep.
Four-wheel drive shop, and he also puts on a navigational challenge that's what we're going to talk about in today's main topic. So thanks for coming on, Virgil. Sorry for being a terrible host.
No, it's okay, not a problem at all. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to talk. I'm pretty good at that. I like to get out in front of people once in a while and kind of share what we're doing down here. We got some really good stuff going. Coy competed with us last year, and this will be our second year doing it. And I don't know how far into this you want me to get right off the bat. If you want to start out with anything, Coy.
Well, we're gonna talk about you for just a minute so that the listeners can figure you out. So we're gonna start with our fast 5 facts here. Ben, go ahead.
All right, new or old vehicle,
Old school.
summer or winter camping,
Summer.
rock, sand, snow, or mud,
All of it.
favorite vehicle brand,
Jeep.
and favorite tire.
Sadly, it's the Bogger.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of miles on Boggers.
I should just put that down in there. I knew that was going to be that one.
You could have pre-filled that out for him.
Well, not all of them, but he lives in Bogger country, like we all know.
Yeah.
We do. We definitely do. Yeah.
I honestly assumed it was drier down in that area. So I guess we'll get to that later, but yeah.
Yeah, we're a bit of a banana belt down here. We still get a fair amount of rain. We don't get a lot of snow, but when we do get snow, sometimes we have events where like March a couple of years ago was a pretty rough snow year for us. But yeah, it's definitely rains here, and we don't have a lot of rock. So if it's raining, it's muddy, and if it's muddy, it's definitely Bogger country. So.
Well, so I guess we're hitting at it. Why don't you tell us where you're from?
So I'm from Roseburg, Oregon. I own an off-road shop down here called Twin Peaks Off-Road. We specialize in Jeeps. I've owned Jeeps since I was 14, and that gives me about 38 years of experience in Jeeps, working on them because my dad and I built the first one together. And we pretty much just do just about everything off-road out of my shop. My whole staff, I have 3 full-time employees and 2 part-time employees. We're all avid four-wheelers. I do things every year, like I go on ARB's trail tour with them every year. We go to a different state and wheel. We've been to Colorado, to Idaho, to South Dakota, just, wherever it takes us. Sometimes it's 23, 24-hour tow to get there, but for a week of four-wheeling, you don't always get to do. So we're pretty hardcore in that. And recently we were able to acquire a piece of land that the county has granted to us, and we're able to do a little bit more wheeling locally. And we're bringing the community into it on a limited basis to, make sure that we keep peace with the neighbors and keep peace with the DEQ and everybody else. So, yeah.
So, total sidebar here.
Mhm.
Rice Hill is not very far away from you, and I try to stop in Rice Hill anytime I drive through Rice Hill for ice cream.
Yeah, that's about a half hour up the road.
Yeah. I love that place because you order 1 scoop of ice cream and they give you 2, and you order 2 scoops of ice cream, they give you 4. And if you order 3 scoops, you get 6. So, I mean,
Yeah, what's amazing is that place was, I used to stop there when I was a kid. My parents used to take us there when I was probably 10, 11, I don't know, young. So it's been there a long time. Yeah, great little stop.
How did you get started in off-roading, Virgil?
So, I grew up in it. My dad had Jeeps back in his day. It was a 53 Willys High Hood, and I just fell in love with it when I was a kid. And we have always had Jeeps. And I'm an avid hunter and fisherman, and we just do a lot of backwoods stuff. I mean, and I'm very heavy into search and rescue as well. I actually am the coordinator for the Sheriff's Department search and rescue down here for the off-road division 4x4. So, I mean, we tend to go out when nobody else will. It's in my blood. I've been doing it so long. It's what I love. And that's why I started the business. I think I was building most of my friends' Jeeps for them anyway, for free. So I decided, hey, I should make this into a business. And it just kind of took off, We've been officially in business 7 years, and we're growing. We grow a little bit every year and add more employees as we go. And we have a great staff. So yeah. Keep them coming. Got more questions?
Yeah, we have a whole list for.
So, what's your current rig?
I'm sorry?
What's your current rig?
My current rig? Well, as I told you, I'm kind of a Jeep fanatic. So I have a 91 Wrangler with a 6.0 LS motor in it, run 38-inch tires on it. It's Dana 60s front and rear, NV 4500 with an Atlas transfer case. That's my go-to rig. I also have a 2000 TJ, which is kind of we call it our shop rig that we built here in the shop. We built it quickly over the course of about 3 weekends. Our crew put it together, and it's got some pretty fancy running gear and other stuff in it. And then I have a 51 Willys wagon that's also our shop rig. And then if you really want excitement, I have a 46 Willys race Jeep that's got a 800 horsepower LS motor in it. On nitrous, and it's a good time. It's a quick good time, but it's a good time. So I'm all in with the Jeeps.
Do you have a favorite vehicle mod?
For years I fought switching over to an LS motor in my trail Jeep. I ran the 4-liter forever. Had great luck, great success with it, and it was running fine when I took it out. But everybody kept saying, "Oh, come on, you got to go to an LS motor." And I finally did it. It is the best mod I've ever done. I mean, it didn't lose a bit of torque, obviously gained torque, gained horsepower. It works great at low RPMs, and now I have the power to use completely different set of gears when off-road. So I got to say that's probably the best mod I've done. But
Do you have a most embarrassing moment on the trail?
Most embarrassing moment on the trail. Yeah, probably the most embarrassing moment that I can think of it's been a few years ago, probably back in I think it was the late 90s, maybe early 2000s. was on a big run that we do every year here, and it was fairly muddy, and we had a few rollovers pretty early in the morning, and one of the guys just wanted to go home and change his windshield on his Jeep so he could come back. And so I thought, yeah, no problem, I'll get out of the way. So I didn't realize I was parked next to about an 8-foot drop, and I got in my Jeep and just went to move forward and fell off that drop, landed upside down in about 2 feet of water. Didn't have my seatbelt on. This is 10 o'clock in the morning, soaked my camera, all my food, everything else, and couldn't open the doors. So I just got to sit there and wait for somebody to realize that I was upside down in a mud hole. Finally, somebody came up the hill and put me back on my wheels and opened the door. So not one of my more favorite moments, but nobody got hurt. Jeep survived. It lived on for the rest of the day. So embarrassing.
So what about the biggest win on the trail?
Whew. You know, had a lot of wins and a lot of near misses, and we've done some wheeling in some different states that was rock buggy country, and we've taken Wranglers into some of that area. And year before last, we wheeled some trails, pretty hardcore stuff, just out of Boise. That some of the trails were. I mean, we had I think 18 rigs go, up them. Some were 4-doors, and everybody winched. The rocks were definitely not something that we really probably should have been on, but was able to pull the whole thing without winching. I mean, that was a big win. I got to the top. I'm like, whew, that's. I mean, when your deodorant fails about 37 seconds into the trailhead, that's when you know it's going to be a rough ride. But most of that I got on video. It was pretty cool. I'll call that my win for off the top of my head.
So, what is Champagne Creek Ranch?
So Champagne Creek Ranch, in 2016, some of our local four-wheel drive club leaders here got together and we petitioned the county to come up with a piece of property that we could use for off-road, because most of the property down in this area now, a lot of it's not BLM, so it's getting locked up. Weyerhaeuser has some, Lone Rock Timber, some of the other companies are locking their land, and it's understandable why they're doing it. So we went to the county and we said, hey, what do you got out there? So the commissioners got with us and they picked every piece of property the county had in its assets that were considered like timber land or something along those lines that was 200 acres or more. Well, little did we know that literally a half mile from my shop, there was a 205 acre piece of land that used to be home to the old landfill, which was only about 2 acres of the 205. And then it was turned into a transfer site. I don't remember the year exactly, but I want to say somewhere back in the late 80s, they abandoned the landfill and just opened up a transfer site. So we went to the county and said, okay, hey, that's 205 acres. We can do a lot of work in there and make some pretty cool off-road stuff. The county thought it was a good idea. So they went to kind of put it out in front of the public, and we had a lot of pushback from the neighbors. So we decided that after kind of fighting the neighbor battle for a few months, we said, okay, how about this? How about if we just lease the property from the county? We'll pay the property taxes and we'll pay the lease, whatever the yearly lease is on it. And you guys let us use it. We'll take care of it and, whatever. Well, the county said, okay, fine. And since it was zoned as timberland, vehicle recreation is allowed in that zoning. So we didn't have to go for any kind of conditional use permit or anything like that. So I kind of gathered up a couple of my friends. One of them's an attorney. The other one's one of the local municipality leaders. And we got together, formed an LLC. We leased the property, originally we started out with about 4.5 miles of trail on it. I think we're up to about just under 9 miles of trail on it now. But we quickly found, after using the property for a year just amongst ourselves, that probably wouldn't have been a great idea to make it a public land 24/7 thing, because I think that the maintenance of it wouldn't have been done. So the land would have taken a real beating. So that kind of worked out. We still had some pushback from some of the local neighbors, not because anything happened, but just because they didn't want it in their backyard, kind of a thing. And I am a neighbor, by the way. I live a half mile from the gate. So after a couple of years of battling out with a couple of neighbors, and I won't go into all the detail of that mess, the county just got tired of it. And they said, I'll tell you what, you guys are a nonprofit. If you would like us to donate that land to you so you guys can use it as your nonprofit sees fit, we will do that. So we're going, well, yeah. so, literally the only stipulation we have on the property is we have to allow search and rescue to train in there. What we have done is we have opened the property as search and rescue to fire. There's several different fire, we'll say companies, fire stations that actually train in there. The county sheriff's department uses it for some of their canine training, and there's talk of even doing a little bit more, some of the SWAT training and stuff. We also use it for navigational training, GPS, and that's which kind of will lead me into the navigation. But our search and rescue teams go in there quite a bit and use it. So that's really our only stipulation on the property. There is some runoff that happens on the property, so we tend to maintain. We go in and maintain it a lot. We keep it from having any issues with erosion or whatever, and which requires a ton of maintenance. So we've also opened the property up to mountain bike clubs. So the local mountain bike club has about 2.5 miles of a 4-mile long trail built with jumps and corners and all kinds of cool stuff like that. So it's kind of a membership basis. You have to sign a waiver to get on the property. We allow people in once they've wavered. And of course, the 3 4-wheel drive clubs in the valley here also can use it, at the same time. So that's kind of in a nutshell what it is. So, yeah.
Trying to find my question here. How many events does Champagne Creek host in a year, and what all kind? You kind of hit that already, but just kind of an
Sure. Am I muted? I don't think I'm muted, am I?
No.
Okay, you can hear me. So right now, I mean, again, we've only literally owned the property for a little over a year. So this is actually a little new since we're not leasing it. But we can do as many as 3 events per quarter with our permits that we get. We do apply for the permit to do an event, like, for instance, the one coming up. Right now, we're doing 2 a year. We just finished our side-by-side poker run, which was our first one we've ever done. And the first time we've ever allowed any side-by-sides on the property. It's only been Class 2 allowed on the property up until this point. We literally sold out when we opened it up in really short order. Just in a few days, it was completely. So we opened it to 50 vehicles, and we had 47 vehicles in the first 2 weeks. And it was kind of crazy. We raised a lot of money for charity. We're also, I should mention that we partnered with the Greater Douglas United Way. So when we do these events now, we fund them. They actually have an account. Well, we created the account for them, and they manage the checking account. So any profit that we make from it, we actually give back to that nonprofit as well. So that was our first event. It went really well. We had some really big name sponsors. Of course, we have actually Coca-Cola, local Coca-Cola distributor who actually owns, I think most of Oregon and all of Northern California now, and Monster Energy also. They're friends of mine, so they backed us as well financially. Also, Warren Industries came in and just absolutely went over the top with different things for our raffles. And there was even some talk of Warren competing in our next event here that's coming up, and I got to get back on the horn with Chad and razz him a little bit, see if I can get him involved. But we had 38 companies sponsor us for the poker run. All of those plus what we have now, we have 42 companies standing behind us sponsoring the event that's coming up in March. So right now, that's the only 2 events planned for the property, only 2 actual public events that are planned for the property for this year. We may do something else, search and rescue related or something toward the end of the year. We just haven't. Right now, I'm so busy trying to get ready for this one. I haven't had the time to do anything else. So, yeah.
So what do you envision for the future of Champagne Creek Ranch?
So, yeah. So we're doing a few things. We're going to continue to maintain it. And I, to go into a little bit into the detail of what happened when we became a nonprofit, I know I put owner in my title. Technically now I'm not an owner. So we have a board of directors, which is 5 of us, one being our attorney, one being a local municipality water district supervisor, one being one of our local contractors, and the other one, obviously myself, and one that's also owns a rental company. So it's kind of a nice group of people to pull resources from. We have Tim with our rental company, we're able to use his equipment. We bring in the cats and the excavators and all kinds of equipment to keep the property maintained. Our goal right now is to continue to grow the trail system on the property, but do it environmentally friendly so that we don't have any issues with erosion or damage, that type of thing. And we just recently started hauling in rock. So this year we brought in, we actually built a parking lot too. We hauled in about 20 loads of rock for the parking lot, but we also hauled in several loads of boulders. So our intention is to build some boulder trails in there, similar to what you'd find in Tillamook, maybe not as radical as the crushers, but similar sized boulders is what we've been putting in. We're going to just continue to develop that. We're going to continue to try to be a fundraiser for local charities. And we're going to continue to try to be good neighbors to the neighbors we have. And I should make a caveat that our neighbors love us. There might be one or two that are just mad, but they're just going to be mad. So we keep the property. Nobody's in there at night. We don't allow night runs. We don't allow unmufflered vehicles or anything like that. So we have the utmost respect for our neighbors and our friends up there. So that's our goal, is to keep it going that direction and to include other. We've got the mountain bikes there now. We do have some hiking groups, and we actually have some local they call themselves off-road running groups that like to run trails. So we're allowing them in there, trying to turn this piece of property that was absolutely worthless into something that is a community asset is really what we're trying to do. And the commissioners are 100% on our side, and I think they're real happy with the progress we've made so far. So hope that explains it.
If someone's listening and trying to start an off-road recreation area, do you have any advice for them?
Well, be prepared for a fight, because not everybody in the world sees things through the eyes that we do when it comes to off-road recreation. I guess my advice would be to include those groups that don't necessarily off-road in a Jeep or in a four-wheel drive vehicle, but they might use their mountain bike. They might take their horses. Be inclusive of as many different entities as you can, and always try to be a good neighbor. The other key is to try to keep the property from being damaged. And, depending on where you're at, I mean, if you're in an area where there's a lot of rock, then obviously there's not a lot of damage. But if you're in an area where we are, where you have a mixture of some rock, but a lot of it's soil, mud and that type of thing, you really got to go out of your way to try to maintain your trails and build your trails appropriately. So, you don't have a problem with landslides and washouts and this and that kind of thing. And I would try to stay on the legal side and try to get the local municipalities behind you when you're doing it. That would be my advice. So.
What are the? Go ahead.
The Champagne Creek Off-Road Navigation Challenge is what we've kind of got you on here to talk about. Tell us about kind of what gave you the idea and how you started this event.
Absolutely. So I started it simply not necessarily as a fundraiser, but I started it because I wanted to do something cool that could bring in some people that really enjoyed the sport. And it also kind of tests everybody's skills. It's not just to go see how far you can drive up a mud road, that type of event. This thing actually is a challenge. And if you can survive the day and place somewhere in the top 5, you've achieved something. And Coy knows this. I mean, he competed with us last year. This year's going to be tougher. I learned a few things last year. My intention was, I actually used to compete at Tillamook when they did the Team Trophy Challenge. I don't know if anybody's been on that or not. I competed at that, I think, 2 times. And although we don't have the amount of land, nor do we run it as long as what that runs, obviously that's over a whole weekend. We'll run ours. This year, we're going to run 8 hours. And so we downsize it, but we make it tough and fun. And that was my inspiration, was from Tillamook, and the desire to do this for the community. The amount of support we get from the community is just incredible. And when I say community, not just the off-road community, but the local folks as well. What's very interesting is last year's event, we had it open to 10 teams, and a team is 2 vehicles and 4 people. Most of our competitors came from out of this area, which was interesting. This year it started out that way, but I think our local teams, I've made fun of them enough. They finally started putting together some teams. So, our local guys know how to run this kind of stuff. This is what they do on a regular basis. So we'll see how they do this year. It's going to be it'll be a very, very competitive. In last year's event, I think the difference between first and second place was about 47 seconds over the course of 6 hours. So, yeah.
What are some of the vehicle requirements and limitations?
So another thing that I've tried to do is make this event and the property. You have to have a street legal vehicle. You have to have insurance. You're limited to your tire size. You cannot have a tire over 40 inches, and it has to be a DOT approved tire. Street legal means you got to be under 98 decibels. You have to have full exhaust. You have to have all the safety equipment that's necessary, seat belts and fire extinguishers and the typical things that you would have, plus recovery gear. You've got to have. You're going to need it. You'll use all your gear by the end of the day, whether it's a jack or a tow strap or a winch, whatever, or maybe even what did you call those things? Plastic boggers, I think you showed me earlier.
Traction boards.
Yeah, something like that. I did see a few sets of those being used last year too, and they actually work in spots. So yeah, the vehicle restriction is pretty strict, and that's to keep the competition fair. We could bring in 6 or 7 rock buggies into the mix and, with boggers on it, and nothing would be a challenge for those guys. So everything is a challenge to a street legal vehicle. So that's kind of the requirements.
So if anybody's listening right now and wants to start a team, join, what skills, equipment do you think that they should have to even have a chance at finishing top 5?
Well, we have 4 spots left available. We filled up pretty quick. We had a total of 15 we were going to allow this year. I'll still allow up to 15, but I'm not really pushing to get 15. So, I'm happy that we got at least 10. As far as the skills, first off, you probably ought to be pretty competitive, but you're going to need to be able to get out of your vehicle and hike too, because none of the finds that you're going to go to on this event are you're going to be able to drive to. So you're going to need some navigation skills. You're going to need to be able to read a GPS. You're going to need a compass, and you're going to have to be able to look at a map and tell, you need to be able to look at a map and look at your GPS and look at your compass and make it all make sense, because otherwise you're going to spend a lot of time wandering around in the woods. So a little bit of everything. We also do, I'll get in here just a minute if you want me to. I'll get into the actual what we're doing for the different challenges, and that'll tell you a little bit more about the type of skills you're going to need. And Coy can definitely speak up because he knows last year he got to do it all.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys finished last year. Coy, were you in the top 5?
No. Yeah. We actually did. If you look at our individual times in the events, or I shouldn't say events, the challenges, we did well, but we never finished we never even started the tow challenge. So we came with either not enough off-roading skill or too small of tired vehicles, and it was such a challenge just getting in between the events. That's where we ate all our time. So the actual events we did, like I think the winching competition, we actually took like 3rd place in, but so we did okay in the events, but we struggled getting in between the little challenges so hard that we just ate all our time there. So yeah, but we were all covered in mud and exhausted all 4 of us exhausted at the end of the day. One of our guys was getting cramps, and he's a hiker, he's in shape. So
I remember that.
It's a challenge physically and mentally.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, at the end of the day, you see, last year we ended up with 9 teams because one team had a blown motor before they got there, but 36 people, and I don't think anybody was frowning. I think everybody was smiling, everybody was exhausted, and everybody was covered in mud. And I was going, yep, this is a win for sure. But
our personal win for us is I think we were the only team that didn't get body damage on our vehicles, which we actually drove our vehicles there and home. We were pretty stoked about that. So
yeah, it's a little taxing on the vehicles for sure. Do do I have time to go into some of the details of the challenges?
Yeah, actually, our next question here was: are there any big changes to the course or challenges in the nav this year compared to last year's? So just dive in about changes or what you're doing right now.
Absolutely. So yes, there's a change in everything. All there right now. There's still 5 fines, so there'll be 5 navigational fines on the property. Again, none of which you can drive to. My helper refers to them as Satan's what is it? Satan's Easter egg hunt, the devil's Easter egg hunt. so, um, so I actually spent I spent I don't know, probably took me 2 days to do it, walking the property and setting up these new fines. And then I had one of our search and rescue coordinators come in behind me and double check all of my GPS coordinates that I set them at, so we know they're right. So the fines will be similar to last year, is that you have to GPS your way to them. Once you find that fine, then you have to use your map, or use your compass, and you're going to get a bearing. It might be 120 degrees for 300 feet. And you're going to have to hold that bearing for 300 feet to find the actual secondary find on that fine. And then you'll write down the first word that's on the find and the second word that's on the secondary find. And if you get that, then you score the points for both, or you can get half as much if you just score one. But so that won't change, other than they're all in different locations. Nobody knows where they are except me and maybe 2 other people that aren't competing. But the fun part this year, we added some time to it. We're gonna run the event from 8 to 4, I think, is what I advertised this year. Last year we tried to do it in 6 hours. It was amazing what happened last year, because the night before the event, it rained. And the day before the event, I went up on property with my Jeep and I tested some of the challenges to try to come up with an ideal time. And the one that I was really concerned about was the tow test. And the first vehicles, in my assumption, I figured I could do that tow test in my vehicle in 15 to 16 minutes. That's what I figured it'd be. The first vehicles in the tow test the day after it rained was 1 hour and 47 minutes in one test. Yeah. So the second 2 vehicles in were 47 minutes, which was better. But then the third set of vehicles that went in was a local. Well, they weren't local. They were from Coos Bay. The guys that actually won the event, they did it in 16 minutes. So, I mean, it was a difference in horsepower, tires, and winching capabilities that really got them through. So I've tried this year to change that to where no matter what happens, it's going to be equal from start to finish, whether it rains or not. And it'll be a real pain for everybody, but it'll be a good time. So this year is something different. We're going to be doing what I'm calling a log cabin build. So you're going to be required to pull a couple of logs that are, I think they are about 10 or 12 feet long, out of a canyon, which is probably 75 feet down. You'll have to pull them up one at a time, and you'll have to place them in a cradle logs that I actually built last weekend, just as if you're building a cabin. So you'll have to place both of those logs. Then once you place the logs, you'll have to split one round of oak hardwood into 4 pieces. Then once you've done that, and whatever one of your teammates do that, you have to take the logs back out of the cradles and put them back in the canyon where you got them. And that'll be timed from start to finish. So it sounds crazy and it looks even more crazy, but you guys will have a good time doing that. The dreaded stretcher.
Let me jump in. Is that challenge meant to be a winching challenge, or just teamwork, actually carry these logs? I don't like what size are they?
Yeah, you won't be carrying these logs.
Okay, that's
This is going to replace the winch challenge that we did last year, where you just had to winch your dead vehicle for 100 yards or whatever it was. This will basically replace that. So you'll have to use your winch, and you don't have it's a limited amount of room that you have. So you can't just hook onto the log and back up with it. You actually have to use your winch to take them up, and you'll have to use your winch to put them back. So I'm figuring from start to finish, if everything goes well, I think that should take average time should be around 20 minutes. But first you gotta, it'll be tough. You'll see. I'm sure it'll make some good video. Also new this year, I changed the area of the dreaded stretcher carry. So Coy remembers this. So the stretcher carry is basically a military type stretcher. You put I should back up. A team is 4 people and 2 vehicles. That consists of a team. the team can't split up. So you can't send one vehicle out to do something and the other one to go do something else. Everybody has to stay together and work as a team to complete the tasks. So one of your 4 people will be in the stretcher carrying a bucket of water or a pan of water on his chest. You have to pull up to the area where we're going to call the start point. You will put that person in a stretcher and carry him up a mountain and around a bunch of trees and over some logs and back down. Put the stretcher back to where you started, get back in your vehicle, and then you got to navigate about 150 yards of really bad trail before you actually can say you've finished. So we've changed that just a little bit. So when you'll be exhausted when you get in your vehicle, and then you probably get to winch a little bit after that. So that'll be fun. And I'm probably giving away more secrets than I should, but you guys will see it when you get there. So
I'll point one thing out. I don't remember, we got first or second in the stretcher carry last year. I won't say it's because of our skill, but 3 of our guys were on search and rescue guys, so they're a little bit have done that before. But our secret is we brought a small Asian guy, and then we put him on the stretcher. He was easily the lightest person competing in that entire event, and we're like, "Oh my god, this worked out so well."
Oh yeah, you never want.
Well, I have to tell you, there's another team this year that also has a small Asian guy on it, and he's probably listening to this podcast right now. So he'll be there, and he already knows he's going to be the one in the stretcher. It's not your guy; it's one of our guys.
Well, ours was the first Asian guy in this event. So
was that Henry? Is that who it was?
Ryan.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, so that'll be one of the 5 challenges. So this is new this year. So this is crazy, but I asked our local side-by-side guys, they wanted to come up and build some trails, for the poker run. And I said, okay, great. So they came up to the ranch, and I said, we need a hill climb that is almost impossible to do. And they said, well, that's what we want to do. I said, okay, we'll build it and they'll come. So they built one. It's a 2-stage hill climb. We'll have a tow truck set up at the top, so you'll have something to hook onto to winch. But we call it Bounty Hill. When we did our poker run, you had to pay for a shot at Bounty Hill, and there was a few vehicles that made it at the beginning, but then it got worse and worse. But you'll be timed from the minute both vehicles go through the gate at the bottom till the time you pull the top of the hill. So it's almost too steep to walk up, but it pretty much is. So it'll be fun. That'll be one of the 3 challenges. So that's new this year. Then one of our challenges, and Coy remembers this, is the tire change. So I haven't totally decided yet exactly where I'm going to do the tire change, but I may do it in the same spot. We may change it up a little bit as to how it's done. But basically, you'll stage your vehicle in the tire change box. You have to take the hardest tire of the 4 to get to off. You have to take that tire, roll it up a hill for probably 150 feet, through a little drainage canyon, up around a tree, back down, reinstall it on the vehicle, and then finish the hill climb at the top before your time stops. And we'll probably do something really similar. That was probably one of the most videoed and one of the most fun parts of our event last year. So
that was probably the most physically taxing event for me by far. So yeah.
Well, it's amazing what 4 guys together can do with a 38-inch tire. I mean, or whatever. I mean, really what we're trying to do is imitate real world situations out in the woods. If you're wheeling and you run into something crazy that you have to deal with, that's what we're trying to do, is to see who can deal with it the best. And that was just a really good time. And then the last one of the challenges is our tow test. We're going to do that again. The tow test will be basically one vehicle will be dead. And I saw that comment.
Yeah, Ben's getting roasted. Ben likes used tires.
In the tow test, one vehicle will be dead in the water. You can't use the drivetrain of the vehicle to move it. The other vehicle has to tow this vehicle around, kind of up a hill around an obstacle course, and then back down through a gate, and your time to do that. It sounds simple, but there are places where you will have to readjust your toe strap, readjust the distance between bumpers. There's all kinds of crazy stuff and to do. And last year that was in a really muddy place last year. This year will be a little different. I haven't really ran it yet to see what I did with my side-by-side, but I can do the whole thing on my side-by-side in about a minute. So we'll see how that ends up being. So anyway, what happens is I have a computer program that I built that calculates the scores. We use our local search and rescue as this is a training event for them as well. So they'll be stationed at each one of the tasks, and they will control when the task starts basically, and they'll control the time, and they'll keep all of that information. We have our radio repeater up so we can talk readily. They'll send that information back to the registration, and as we get the information in for each team, minus the fines, when you find a fine, it actually subtracts from your overall time. So all that information is kept in real time, and so when the last team checks in, we already know who won the event before we don't have to calculate. It already does it all on its own. So it's kind of a neat deal. We give away some really big trophies, and this year we have some people stepping up to donate some winches and a few things for the raffles and that type of thing. So it's a good time. We have a food truck. One of the things, my business, Twin Peaks Off-Road, we're partners with a local brewery here, Looking Glass Brewery. They have came up with a beer for us. It's called Twin Peaks Bad Habit Blonde. There's a long story behind it. It has to do with the race Jeep I own called Bad Habit. It's a Coca-Cola sponsored Jeep. I don't know if you've seen pictures of it. Coy's probably got some. I don't have any way to put it up on screen, but it's a really fun time. And we have our Twin Peaks girls that model with it often. So the brewery and my company got together and we said, hey, let's do a beer that's something to do with Bad Habit Blonde. So they came up with a really, really cool light lager type beer. And we'll have that on site too. They're going to be serving over the weekend, not for competitors until after the event. But the Friday night prior, we're having a welcoming party for the competitors and the volunteers. And I'm buying that first keg. So if you guys want to come have a beer, meet the girls, eat some barbecue. We got a food truck that's coming in with barbecue. Friday night's going to be a good time. I see that comment. Yes, they do. I'll let Coy use. I don't have any pictures, but I'm sure Coy can find some pictures of my girls.
I have a calendar on there somewhere.
We'll
Yeah.
see pictures and they'll be in the show notes.
Yeah. The story with the girls, our company, Twin Peaks, we put together a scholarship for kids that want to go to some sort of a technical school, engine building type school, something like that. Every year we put together $1,000 scholarship that kids apply for. Our girls go around, we do a calendar, and the girls sell the calendars, and they actually go to events, go to sportsman show, that type of thing, and they sign the calendars and sell them, and that funds the scholarship. Every year helps fund it. Whatever we lack, I make up for. One of my employees collects bottles and cans, and it's an amazing amount of money that people kick in to help fund kids to go to school. So, that's just one of the things we do to give back to the community.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. That's about the brunt of everything we're going to do. I can't think of anything super exciting. I don't want to give away all the secrets. I don't want Coy to have an advantage over anybody else.
Hey, I shared this on the main page.
Yeah,
I can tell you that we do have this year a teenage team that's competing. So I actually sponsored the team to get them to go. One of them's the dad, so he's a little bit older, but not much older, and the rest of them are under 18. So. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of hiking involved, and those guys, I don't know. We'll see if Braun overcomes, seniority. I don't know. We'll just have to see.
I'll slip a bottle of Fireball in their tent the night before and see how they feel the next day.
There you go. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great event, and I encourage. It's open to the public to come for spectating, and most of our tasks we put underneath the landing that we have built up there, so you can actually see about 90% of what's going on from one location. So it's a great spectator sport. the rest of the trail running, the parts where they have to go out and find the finds and stuff, we actually allow spectators out on the trail. We have side-by-sides on site that'll take people out if they want to go see some of that stuff. But the best viewing for the whole thing is going to be right by the beer garden and right next to the food truck. So it's going to be a good time.
So you mentioned that the SAR units are involved. You said your local 4x4 SAR guys train there with an event similar?
Our local search and rescue?
Yeah.
Yes, we train there often. We've been on a little bit of a hiatus due to the COVID thing, but now we've been released from that. In fact, we have a training going on there this Sunday before Super Bowl. We do mock searches there. In fact, this particular Sunday, what I'm going to do is have them run the course that these guys are going to run on March 6th, just to triple check everything that we have and see if people can find them. But it's I'm actually the coordinator for that group, so all the training kind of falls under me. I have to work with them to, so I use GPSs a lot. So I also am a snowcat operator too for the county. So this is the time of year when we stay pretty busy rescuing snowmobilers and that type of thing. Again, like I said, we go out when nobody else wants to go out.
I can see Aaron wanting to go, hey, can I go on a snowcat ride?
Yeah, sign me up. Love that stuff.
It's fun. I've been an operator for, I guess this is my third year, but it takes two people to run our cat. It's a big cat. It seats 6, and it's a full-time driving job when you're driving it. You got to have one navigator, one person operating it, and you got to be pretty good with the blade too. It's got a joystick for the blade, but it's a big Tucker XL. I can't remember what the brand or what model, but I have a lot of people that say, yeah, man, I'd love to go out in a snowcat. Well, if you're on the backside of Mount Bailey at 3:00 in the morning and it's in a blizzard and you can't see the mountain or the road you're on, and you can't turn your big lights on because if you do, you really can't see because the snow reflects it all. So you're driving by braille using your blade and putting along with your GPS. I can assure you it's not a lot of fun. You're happy to get back.
Uh-oh, we lost Aaron. Sounds fun to me, that's for sure. Still driving by braille.
Yeah. I've been on some scary rides, but yeah, it's neat when you bring somebody back. I mean, we rescue a lot of people every year. I think we went out. The last number I had from last year was we did 127 missions in 1 year between ground teams, 4x4 teams, snowcat teams, and even drone. We have a drone team as well. And we're directly under the sheriff's department on this stuff. We're volunteers to the sheriff's department. We're not just a ragtag group that's made up kind of a thing. Everything's pretty serious when we go out and we get dispatched by the 911 call.
Yeah, that's how my search and rescue unit's set up too.
Yeah. We don't go out and tow people in. We go out and let them live to see their vehicle another day. It's kind of what we typically do. So.
Yeah. It's not about the property, it's about the person.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, Virgil, thank you for coming on and telling us about the Champeak Creek Challenge and everything there that you host, man. It's really cool to get to hear such a cool event. And
thanks for having me.
That the public can actually go out there and check it out. So, or if you're interested in competing and can make it to Oregon in, what was that, 3 weeks?
You can go on our Champagne Creek Facebook site, contact me that way. You can contact me on my Twin Peaks site, or you can contact me on my own personal Facebook site. My phone number is listed pretty much across the board on all of them. So if you really want to get a hold of me, there's tons of ways to get a hold of me. But we typically use Facebook. Right now we have our Messenger. I think Koi's on it. We have, I think it grew a little bit today. So there's about 65 people now, probably 70, close to 70 people on our message chain between volunteers and competitors. Right now we have 44 competitors that are going to attempt the course. So once you're in, we put you in that site so you can hear the latest and greatest of what's going on. So, and that's about all I got, guys.
That's great. Thanks for coming on. And we also want to thank all our listeners who stuck with us on another long show. I don't think anybody minds when we run a little long, just a little extra content. We go over the hour mark pretty easy. So Every week. Yeah, it just happens. Yeah. But yeah, we appreciate you guys listening in, and make sure you tell your friends about us and about the podcast, and have them come check us out live. Also, we love the chats. It's always entertaining to get the tire jokes in there about Ben's tires. So yeah, we appreciate all you guys, and God bless America.
Thank you.
Don't forget to visit Patriot Patch and join the Patch of the Month Club. Check out our Gaia affiliate link for up to 40% off. Also, don't forget to head over to Warren and Power Tank to see all of their great gear. We are a proud part of the Firearms Radio Network. Got a question or comment? Send it to us through our webpage at firearmsradio.tv or through our social media channels by searching for Off-Road Podcast. Also, you can listen to us live at overlandradio.com, Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific. When off-road, please remember to have fun, tread lightly, be safe and courteous, and thanks for listening